This is indeed the second largest NATO army after the USA and one of the few alliance armed forces that has real combat experience. Its military bases are strategically scattered around the world, and recently, Ukraine might potentially become one of those important locations to host its troops. Of course, we are talking about Turkey.
The Turkish army is the second largest, larger than in France, larger than in the United Kingdom, larger than in Canada, Italy, EU, Germany, and other countries.
Talks about sending Turkish troops to Ukraine as peacekeepers have been ongoing for a long time. However, we have never been as close to this as we are today. The presidents of both countries state that they are ready for such a scenario, and it seems that things are moving towards concluding such an agreement soon. Officially.
In simple terms, indeed, creating European security without Turkey is unthinkable.
However, what can Turkey actually offer Ukraine? How capable is its army? What is the size of the Turkish armed forces? And how does Ankara plan to settle this issue with Moscow? We will tell you right now in Arsenal about the realistic prospects of the Turkish peacekeeping contingent in Ukraine. Turkey has taken a pro-Ukrainian stance from the first day of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Erdogan has never questioned Ukrainian sovereignty or territorial integrity. It was Turkish drones that destroyed Russian armored columns on the approach to Kyiv. It was the official. Ankara provided the first platform for negotiations. It helped to carry out the grain deal and unblock the ports of Odessa. For several years, Turkey has been helping to free Ukrainians from Russian captivity. But it seems that now Ankara has decided to further strengthen this alliance by providing assistance with its own troops.
Turkey, which has declared that it is ready to participate in building a new security architecture in Europe, seeing what threats are facing Europe, seeing how transatlantic unity is being interrupted, how NATO is being weakened. And this is supported by other European countries, primarily such as the United Kingdom, Scandinavian countries, Baltic states, and Poland. And naturally, Ukraine can participate in this architecture, and this formation of the Baltic Black Sea Security Arc also can play a huge role in the future security system and the future security system.
The point is that Erdogan is ready to deploy his troops in Ukraine, where they will monitor the approaching ceasefire.
Outside of Turkey, it has military bases in Syria, Bininne. It is already gathering in Somalia and has military bases and presence also in Qatar. It has bases in Libya and in several other countries. And Erdogan has spoken about this repeatedly. They are ready to send Turkish troops to Ukraine to act as a borderline, to clearly see who is violating. And this is what Putin is deathly afraid of.
He is afraid because he initially looks for loopholes to disrupt peace agreements. However, the Turkish contingent is a group that the bunker dweller would probably not want to quarrel with.
Last but not least, more than in France, more than in the United Kingdom, more than in Canada, Italy, Germany, Canada, Italy, Germany, with
that, when saying more, it should be understood as a multiple advantage over European armies. By and large, if a decision were in fact made to deploy foreign troops in Ukraine, Turkey could single-handedly provide a sufficient military contingent.
Currently, the number of ground forces, just the ground forces of the Turkish armed forces is about 400,000 people. The same number of reservists, that is 400,000 in the ground forces and 400,000 in reserve. Plus, of course, other branches of the military, the Navy, the Air Force, special forces, engineering troops, and so on. This is a huge force. Naturally, if we are talking about the need to send between 30,000 to 50,000 troops to create a successful peacekeeping mission in Ukraine, Turkey can indeed send such a contingent even on its own.
At the same time, importantly, Ankara itself is not averse to participating in the creation of a new security format in Europe, as repeatedly stated by its president Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
Without Turkey, it is becoming increasingly difficult for Europe to remain a global player. In simple terms, the creation of European security without Turkey is unthinkable.
Another major advantage of the Turkish military presence in Ukraine, experts say, is Ankara's foreign policy course. According to analysts' forecasts, Erdogan will certainly not consult with Putin or ask for his permission to send troops. If the proposal is beneficial to Turkey, it will surely accept it.
Mr. Tusk went to discuss precisely the role of Turkey in ensuring and guaranteeing the security of the southern part of Ukraine. That is, we are talking about the Black Sea region. Consequently, the interests of Turkey and Russia, they also, let's say not that they conflict, but they contradict on one side. Therefore, it is a very big question here as to how much Russia will agree even to such a format if we are talking about Turkish troops. Especially since, in terms of quality training, Turkish troops can be a more formidable force than the troops of many European countries.
Also, the advantages of Turkey. Turkey's advantage lies in the fact that it is perhaps the only one in the entire NATO bloc that is not critically dependent on the alliance center in Washington, and it has long taken care of its own defense capability independently.
The Turkish army is among the most prepared, most trained, and most armed forces of the alliance. Turkey has an excellent domestic defense industry they are already producing at the moment. We know excellent drones. Bayraktar, they produce their own tanks and are close to creating their own aviation. In short, it is a country with a fully closed production cycle for all types of weapons and ammunition for them. And the Navy, they have excellent shipyards. In Turkey, there are hundreds of private and state-owned shipyards that provide services, repairs, as well as shipbuilding for hundreds of companies worldwide and produce excellent naval ships, including for Ukraine, as is known.
And now about why Turkey itself needs this. If we set aside the factor that the country will significantly increase its geopolitical importance, which Erdogan is definitely striving for, the economic benefit of deploying troops in Ukraine for Ankara is also obvious.
The demarcation of maritime borders between Ukraine and Turkey. As long as Crimea is occupied, it is impossible, which means Turkey cannot extract its gas in the Black Sea because that territory is Ukrainian. And as long as this remains unsettled, it is a huge loss for Turkey.
We should not forget about its potential military-industrial advantages, as by strengthening relations with Europe in the context of supporting Ukraine, unprecedented opportunities in the field of arms production open up for Ankara.
Turkey is quite a large arms exporter, of course, not on par with the USA and China, but it has a significant defense industrial potential. Thus, Turkey and Europe can achieve more together by combining European technologies and Turkey's manufacturing capabilities.
They understand where everything is heading in Moscow, but they can't do anything about it. The only thing left for the bunkerman is to once again, as usual and predictably, put forward his foreign ministry pawn, who will inevitably mumble something about the Kiev regime that should not be supported.
To someone or responsible countries we communicate with, Turkey being one of them. We strongly recommend analyzing the situation, analyzing the perpetual militant statements of the Kiev regime, and we warn them against fueling these militaristic sentiments.
However, evaluating Turkey's position, such speeches will not impress them. Despite official contacts with Moscow, Ankara will primarily do what is beneficial for itself. And they have long since assessed their advantages from deploying a peacekeeping contingent to Ukraine. If you like this video, then don't forget to give it a like and definitely subscribe. Subscribe to our new Arsenal channel. The link is in the description below the video.